Question one for everyone, I think this is. You know, how has the business landscape changed over your careers? You know, we can all see a lot of changes, particularly some of our older guys in the room. Obviously, not myself, but how have you seen those changes over the years? And has there been a pattern younger people entering the creative careers should look into and look out for? I should have put my glasses on too. Oh yes, that's great.
If you wish, I'll have a microphone. Good evening. How's everybody? In the mood to ask questions? Right, this gentleman here in the black, just bank him, right? He's going to ask the first question from the audience this evening. Good lad. I'll leave 50 lashes. Right. Blimey, how things have changed. Well, slightly different for me because obviously, as you can tell by my accent, I'm a Pom. So, interestingly, I suppose, over the years, the hideous recession we had in the UK between 2007 and 2014, and believe me, it was full on 7 years, the phone not ringing, companies going bust, no one spending any money. So if you think this current situation here is bad at the moment, it is only a drop in the ocean compared with what we had to suffer in the UK. Hopefully it won't last too long here because the dynamic of the economy is slightly different. But in compressed economic times, you have to behave differently as a business. You have to behave differently as suppliers of services. You have to think of innovative ways of charging people. You have to think of innovative ways of partnering. So hold those two thoughts, partnering and charging. Right, so two really, really important things. So over the years, when I first started, I built up a company which was a very strange hybrid business. It had a B2B marketing agency combined with a cloud software development agency under the same roof. So we were cross-selling services between the two. We were involved in projects that were very business-led. So companies that are in trouble, companies that face competition, didn't know what to do, companies with very technical products and services where it's very hard to understand how to take that company to market, and it's definitely not a design-led process. So hold that thought too. So three things I would say. It was easier to get design-led type of work before the recession. During the recession, that stopped. Totally stopped. Clients were I'll take generalising, clients were primarily interested in companies and individuals who could make a difference to their business, who understood their business and understood that what they spent with you, whatever creative type of project they were doing, had to add money to the bottom line. That's always very difficult to quantify when you're in the creative industry, as I'm sure we'll get the lowdown to my left here in a lot more detail. But I would say the changes were, you've got to learn to partner with people. So I'll give you one classic example of that. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you, if I'm making a presumption here that a lot of you guys are individual freelance graphic designers, maybe some photographers, and I guess am I right or am I completely wrong? Is that pretty much the general consensus? Yeah? Okay, so the best thing you can do is to find really good quality people who have got a good business head and a good marketing orientated business head to build your relationships up with those people and partner with them to go and see your clients. All right, that's probably the biggest piece of advice I can give you the whole evening, if I'm being honest with you, because the customer now is looking for people to come into their business and understand their business really well, irrespective of what sector it is. And they need to see and demonstrate that you can go in and make a difference. If they're having a rebrand or they want a product design, they're still, although it is the design-led process, is an integral part of that process. They are looking for people who understand the business side of it to hold their hand and go through that process. It is hugely important. All right, so if you take one takeaway from me, that's the takeaway. All right, charging-wise, yeah, you've got to be innovative with your charging. One of the things I've noticed, we used to be able to invoice on commencement, 50% of the way through, and at the end of the project, fairly standard stuff, usual payment terms. Now, You need to think about spreading that payment over a longer period of time, giving people interest-free credit. That's tough. That's hard. Yeah. So if you've got a project worth $10,000, yeah, and you want that extra 10% to win that business, don't charge them $3,300 at the beginning, $3,300 in the middle, and $3,000 at the end. See if your business can stand it. See if you can spread that payment over 10 months. Yeah. If they want to use you because of your talents and your ability and your experience in that sector, that will help to clinch you the deal. That's tough. It's very, very hard to do that, but that's one of the other considerations. We did that in our business, and we were very successful at winning business like that.
Thanks, Paul.
I
Stress is all out already.
No, just to get a sense of,
Yeah, so I came here in 2011-12, and I spent 3 years here, went back to the UK for 2 years and came back last year. So yeah.
I can't remember the question. But that was a great answer and terrifyingly unlike what I would have said.
It's how's the business landscape changed for you through your career?
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, okay. So unlike Paul, I've always been Perth based. So I've been working as a graphic designer in Perth since 1981, I think. So I suppose it has given me an unusual opportunity to see how things have been flowing or not flowing in this market. And as Paul has suggested, it is definitely challenging right at the moment. There was a period where you could pretty much not charge anything, but late 80s, early 90s, it really was all happening here in a big way. So just a completely different culture and dynamic in a business sense. This is, and pre-digital too. So, the world has changed dramatically since I started doing graphic design. So I don't know how many of you guys went to see the doco on the old way of doing stuff.
Graphic Means.
That's the one, thank you. Which I didn't see because I could have been in it, which would have been terrifying. But that's the world, that's the huge revolution that I've seen in my time as a designer. So nothing's changed in terms of what we all want to do, which is good design. Question already.
How is it that it was so much harder back then, but we had so much more fun?
Oh, interesting question. Look, I think part of that is that as a designer, you were really the only ones who could do this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, now, anyone with a laptop and access to Canva or something, is the founders of Canva in the room? No, and look, brilliant. That's what Paul's talking about, doing things differently, and great. But gee, from a designer's point of view, from a kind of artisan designer, which I always imagined I was, that's utterly changed the landscape. So that why would you engage someone like me to do a little kind of purpose-built, lovely piece when frankly you could bang out something that would be adequate yourself? So I think that's part of the thing. It's become so, the technology's so democratised that anyone can do this stuff. I mean, really, we're kidding ourselves if we feel that we're the only ones who can. We're the only ones who can do it well, but as Paul alluded to, how do you get the sense of the value into that equation? Yeah, and I like what you were saying. It's kind of interesting, and from my own point of view, having plugged on just doing what I do, it really doesn't work anymore. It really needs to change my approach to business driven rather than design driven. Because from my point of view, it was like, clearly the reason they've contacted me is they're familiar with my work and they want me to do something for them that they'll value. But gee, it's hard, and you don't have to miss a couple of quotes and think, what have I done? And it might be like a quote that you've really thought through and thought, well, okay, we'll make it a bit cheaper so, they're a startup or whatever. And no, it still doesn't wash. So, it's utterly changed. It's not a bad thing, and I think these guys can have fun now too, really. I mean, yes, it was fun then without all this stuff, but theoretically, it should be even more fun now because there's so many toys to play with to make stuff happen. I mean, what I've observed, I suppose, is that the design has changed in the sense that I started off as a graphic designer back in the 80s and 90s, and you know, it was a very clear discipline, a very well-defined discipline. Now, you could be doing film, you could be doing animation, you can be doing interactive, you can be doing anything and bundling it all together. The role of the designer has utterly changed. And for old guys like me, that's actually quite a revolution to try and get a hold of. And I need to hang around with younger people to figure out exactly what's going on. But the whole kind of package can now be part of what you guys do. So I think that's a huge positive. So it's not all kind of gloom and doom from my end, but I think that it's just I guess the speed with which change happens now is so much greater than it ever was. So, you know, I kind of rode through the change of, if you were getting typesetting, does anyone even know what typesetting is? If you saw the film, you would have. So, you know, there was a really large specialist industry, which was professional typesetters. And almost overnight, the work tap would have turned off for them with the introduction of the personal computer. And suddenly everyone could do typography. Well, imagine they could.
I was saying before that I used to do an ad and it would take an entire week because you'd have to organise the, you know, the typesetting, the photography, you need to do the layout, all of that. Now, a week, oh, we need that tomorrow. And you would bang out, and then there was no couriers, there was no emails, there was no. So you have a whole week now, you know, crammed into one day.
Yeah, no, look,
Sometimes today.
and that's, and we have to respond, you know, when we have to be able to do that stuff. So yeah, it's changed a lot.
How about from a fine art perspective, from Mikaela's perspective? Has there been changes there, or has that stayed fairly static?
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Come on.
Do you want a microphone?
Yeah, look, fine art, has it changed? I don't know, because as a fine artist, you have a progression that you go on that you can't not be on. You have to start somewhere and you have to work your way to a point where people know who you are and that sort of thing. So you have no real concept of what's happening in the art world where I am now. For the people back then when I was starting out, you kind of can't really see that far ahead. So I think one of the things that's changed is I do a lot of talking to kids and about creativity and how we all have to be creative, and it's part of trying to convince people that art is worth something and you should fund it and the governments should fund it and that sort of thing. But part of that is that everybody starts to go, well, I can do that. We're all being creative, let's all be artists, and you kind of go, no, just, you know, not everybody needs to be an artist. So it's a bit of a thing at the moment where pretty much everybody is an artist and it gets a bit muddy, I think. But that's really the only difference that I've seen.
So just to move on that, what's everybody doing here? Just to pass that back to the room. You know, are we doing graphic design, or are we specialising in film, or are we specialising in illustration? I mean, when he was at college, you had a degree of specialisation. You know, you did typography, or you were a typesetter, or you were a technical illustrator and stuff like that. You went in specific streams, but now it's so, you know, it seems so brought together, you know, that everybody's doing the same sort of thing. So, you know, what's everybody doing here? Pure graphics? Are we knocking out brochures, or you know, what are we doing?
I think it's,
Can you remember?
I think it's communication. I think that's what we're doing more, is like we have to communicate in different mediums. So it ranges from branding, starting branding, and then pretty much rolls out to any kind of collateral, whether it be web or brochures, but it's really just still about messaging and communication. That's what. Yeah, but it's still, you know, we're still using the same tools like Photoshop and Illustrator and things like that every day. But yeah, it's probably more what it is. Yeah, not so much film or anything like that, or we still do a bit of 3D and things, but yeah, it's still graphic design, definitely, still branding, but it's getting harder, definitely.
How do you think it's getting harder? Why is it getting harder?
Oh, I think things like 99 designs and those kind of crowdsourcing things, like you say, like everyone's a designer now. Like everyone is a designer, like, and that's a great thing for design, because, you know, we can, you know, like everyone understands what it is, and it almost makes more work. But Yeah, it's a bit hard to charge the premiums that we used to.
If I may just
Yeah.
interject. Get this microphone working. Hello. Hello. Ah, good. Sorry. So that's the point I was making.
Yeah.
So, and quite rightly so, crowded market, the availability of relatively low-cost software, it's making accessible to lots of people getting into a crowded market. So you have to, those of you with really good skills, like you guys sitting in the room, you've got to then elevate you've got to look at yourself as a business, and you've got to elevate the status of your business and take it up to the next level to stay ahead of the crowded people who are, as we've been alluded to, it's a bit fudgy in terms of who's classed as a designer. Perhaps I think that's what came out of the earlier comments. So you've got to elevate your status and turn yourself into a business, evolve the business side of what you offer by diversifying and partnering with people. That's the way you stay ahead, that's the way you offer added value, and that's how you retain your graphic design skills and you get paid for what it's worth.
Yeah.
That leads into a point I was reflecting on, because my experience back in the 80s was a particular client I had. He had the communications contract for McDonald's Australia, as in internal staff communications, how to get the thousands of staff to hustle and upsell and all that sort of stuff. So how to communicate. You can imagine a big, large, multi-corporate organisation like that. And the whole vibe, as I recall in the 80s, the vibe of his office was just energy on speed. It was just incredible, the amount of energy and creativity in that place. But that made me reflect on what are some of the simple practices that you, sitting here and over the next, between now and Christmas, if there was a couple of simple, doable practices that you don't have to go off and do a TED talk or anything else, that you could start to apply and that are going to make a material difference in terms of some of the tips that you've received. Listen. Ask. Listen. Just let the person speak. Don't fill that void, because guess what's happening in that void? What's the person that you're talking to doing? They're feeling appreciated because you're listening and you're asking them questions. This is just a conversation with anyone that you meet. And here's the question, because inevitably, once they start to be listened to, and they realise they can be vulnerable with a challenging issue, whatever that might be, you then say, that must be hard. And listen. What do you think is going to happen when you say to someone, that must be hard?
They'll open up to you.
They'll open up. Empathy. And what are they going to say? What are they going to talk about? What are they going to tell you? Their problems, the issues, and what are you hearing?
Sorry.
No. If it's in there, if they're speaking on your, they know what you do. They're telling you the problems that they want you to solve. And all you're doing is listening.
I don't want that client.
Because?
Because I don't want a problem.
Well, what I'm saying is they're giving
Positive ones that-
they're giving you the shopping list of the frustrations that they have.
Yeah.
They trust you though.
And they're building trust. That's right. They're being allowed to be vulnerable.
I know what you mean.
All right. And when they're vulnerable, then okay, the door's opening, because it's no longer I'm bidding or hassling for your business. The other perception that I'm witnessing, because I deal with all the creative industries, whether it's WASO, opera, printing, right across the board, graphic artists, you name it, is there is I listened to a radio thing today, and it was who's heard of the pre-Raphael Brotherhood?
Yep.
Did anyone hear that today on the ABC? Who's heard of pre-Raphael? So Raphael was an artist, and before Raphael there was a certain way of painting. After Raphael, all painting got dull, colourless and boring. And the pre-Raphael Brotherhood, which was 7 guys between the age of 19 and 21, said, let's shake this place up. And they quoted one painting that he did, which was, I won't give you the details, it was just unbelievable how he did this painting. It took him 6 months. It's now worth $50 million, this one painting, okay? But so that's a small group of people that have become, that shifted art globally, okay? I'm seeing graphic artists shifting the whole creative process if they are prepared to engage. And this is my third and final point for this little session, is seek to float other people's boats. What happens if all the boats are floating higher? What's going to happen to your boat? It's also going to float higher. If you, and this is something that I've practiced for over 30 years in business very successfully, if you make other people busy, you will never have to worry about your next client.
Is it a one-off investment or is that continuous?
Continuously.
Which means that you're investing but not getting charged for that.
Well, no, I'm not saying about giving free work away. I'm talking about collateral professionals, like you were talking about your relationship with some printers, which is fairly unique. Well, promoting that printer, making sure that printer gets other work from other graphic artists. Say, this printer is very good in this particular field, and just in helping other people get busy, and it all flows back. Thanks.
Thanks, Patrick. Now, just to extend on that question, we all trying to talk about getting the money in. How about putting the money out and investing in yourselves and your own careers? Have you guys shelled out? Bought some new markers or? No, really. We're talking about investing in yourself and being more business-like and not just being in front of the Mac, putting out our brands and putting out our little communication pieces and working like that. How about actually investing in ourselves? People who design these Canva front ends. Should we be thinking about that and thinking really about the future?
I don't think I can compete with the Dalai Lama here, who was very wise, and listen to everything he says, because seriously, super's where you need to be. As you're at the end of the career that I'm at, and suddenly the super, and you think, oh God. Anyway, but you guys will all do super because that's all part of the culture, and you've grown with it, which is great. Yeah, look, an interesting question, and I guess I was involved with Agda for a long time before the current group of young guys who've picked up the mantle, thank God. And, the reason I did it was not particularly altruistic. I did feel that the profession needed a strong voice, at a national level with the decision makers in Canberra and beyond, and was happy to be part of that combined voice because, without a group of people, no one ever hears the individual voices. That just doesn't work. So during that time, I got involved in opportunities to go to pretty much every conference that Agda ever put on because I was asked to MC them. And that was brilliant because I could go to them all without shelling out the $500 or whatever it was, and actually meet all these people and interact with them, and it was fantastic fun. But the commitment and investment was my time, and
so that's the networking aspect.
Yeah, it is, and you guys know how much time it takes to volunteer to make things like this happen. So I did that for a long time, and it paid off hugely for me because I got to hang out with Stefan Sagmeister and Chip Kidd and have meals with them, and there is nothing like that. That was one thing I was going to ask Hayley a bit later. What's happened to the international tours, because they were cool. Were they all... Anyway. Yeah, I know, and it's more challenging in Perth because of the isolation and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, look, investment. So whether it is professional development, whether it is going to conferences, whether it is upgrading your gear or investigating more effective accounting procedures and all that sort of stuff, you need to do some degree of all of that. The fact that you're all here tonight is brilliant because that actually is the key to keeping this community vibrant, because if we all kind of go back to our respective studios and just feel glum, that's not good. There is so much to be done here, and design, the world's still crying out for great design, even though we're flooded with kind of generic, average stuff. The good stuff still sort of rises above. Investment doesn't need to be money, because if we're all pretty tight with money at the moment, it can be just getting involved with this sort of stuff. And that's where the community starts to thrive, and it enriches the whole process. So I don't know if that's an answer to the question, but over to you, Paul.
Oh, that's a series of great points, really good points. I mean, I built my business up purely from networking. We hardly spent any money on marketing at all, and that was a marketing agency. Bizarre, but true. We just really got out there and went out and saw loads of people, and the investment is your time in investing in building your relationships. We've got an absolute master at it here with Patrick, so if you want any tips on how to network and, again, some of the things that Patrick mentioned, the behaviours that you adopt with people and so on and so forth, absolutely critical. So your investment in time, huge, and you can build your businesses up by doing that. There's no question at all about it. I mean, personally, I've got also 3 cloud software businesses that I run, and we've had to, I've had to fund my oldest company sponsored the development of 2 software applications that we built with no customers, but very confidently that there was a market there. Thank goodness we were able to monetize it. But sometimes you have to take an entrepreneurial risk with your investment. But again, it was time. It wasn't cash. Yeah. It was time. Yeah. And I think there's nothing much more to add than that you mentioned earlier on.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting because I'm with Steve. I've built my career on doing good work and doing more good work, and you never it's the last job, and the thought of being entrepreneurial and going out networking and doing loads of stuff and thinking like Paul is right over here for me. But I think in this era it's trying to get both sides, particularly if you want to get out of being an employee and being an employer and making it work and running your own business and charging more and being more in control of your destiny. That's a much more exciting way and a different way to approach creativity over an entire business.
There's one more point on the same thing. Yeah, sorry, my mistake. Another great investment for you, if it's appropriate to you, is to find a mentor. Find a business mentor, or find someone you can trust, either in the industry or has built up their own business, to spend some time with you on that. What a great investment that is.
Here's a simple investment in yourself, very simple, in time and in money. Keep an eye on the Perth Convention Centre agenda and choose the most obscure, boring, unrelated to reality conference that you would never attend, and buy a ticket and go for the whole 9 yards. Throw yourself in. Why am I suggesting that?
Get outside your own.
Exactly. Because if you've gone and how simple it is, because you actively look for something that you would absolutely have no interest in and attend. What are people going to say when you're walking around and you've got your graphic or whatever design, whatever card you pull out? I can guarantee you someone's going to say, "Oh really? Do you do graphic design?" And they're a multi-million-dollar international company that's wanting to break into Perth. And you're the local expert because you're here. I'm serious. Don't underrate yourself. You're the local expert because you've taken the time to come and meet this person. Because he's only here for 2 days before, 2 days after, and he's hiring someone at the same time, and I want the graphics to be good. Can you get the graphics to look like this or like my stand? Yes. And always say yes because you don't know how you're going to do it, but you'll damn well find out. Yeah. Cheap investment, big return.
That's if Steve and I haven't been there first. All right, we seem to have covered quite a lot of ground there. So any questions before we sort of go forward? I hope you do.
Matt was supposed to be the first question.
Yes,
Matt, come on, Matt.
There was already a question. Please talk.
Go for it.
There is a hand up here. An actual punter.
Sorry, Matt.
Come on.
Hi, so I'm Blake. So I would assume most of us are graphic designers doing somewhat freelance work. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of us would have had to done work for free, right? Just for a mate or just for like a small business, just to sort of build up our portfolio and get out there. So what's the best way to sort of get out of that free rut? Because once you do it for free, word of mouth spreads. Oh yeah, so and so did this for free. So what's the best way to get out of that free rut and start like charging? Getting serious about it, because once you do work for free, people will take advantage.
Yeah, no, look, they do. Interesting one. There was many years ago, I don't know if you remember a designer called Hannah Cutts from Queensland. She was, anyway, take my word for it, she was a brilliant designer, and she started her career doing freebies for the Salvos or Vinnies, well, like one of the junk, You know what I'm talking about. Sorry, most of my clothing comes from those shops. What she did was she was quite entrepreneurial with this stuff. She was fresh out of study, needed to get a profile. This is the thing: you don't do freebies that aren't going to help you. Yeah. So and this is just a kind of a symbolic story, I suppose. What she did was she did the stuff for Vinnies, and she approached them with, I would really like to help you promote this institution without any constraints. So, I will do all this stuff and I'll sort out all the printing and I'll let you know with my contacts or whatever, as long as I can have free reign. And they said, well, you're great, fantastic. That would be lovely. Someone's enthusiastic about promoting this. So what she did was a bunch of stuff which won awards, okay? And as soon as you're seen in an awards environment, your peers see what you're doing, your potential employers see what you're doing, other clients see what you're doing. She got work straight out of Triple J based on the strength of that Vinnie stuff. So that to me was now it had to be bloody good, obviously. It wasn't like, I guess the problem is, in my career, some of the best jobs I've done have been for very small budgets or nothing, because it offered the opportunity to do something really great without the constraints of a brief. I will do this, but I'm going to have as much fun as I possibly can to get the best possible result out of it, so it's promotional for me. Yeah. So, I wouldn't be mentioning loudly that you're doing stuff for nothing, but, that's the only reason you should, so that you can do a really great project.
Because then you're not doing it for nothing.
Yeah.
You're doing it
We're doing it for a purpose.
It's an investment.
It's not just. It's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
So how you get off, they won't. If you ever won an award at anything, people will find out and they'll be gunning for you. They'll say, "We want that guy."
Okay. Say you haven't won an award, like say.
Okay. Do better work, mate. Do better work.
I mean, we're not all going to be award-winning designers. So, any tips on sort of?
We had a neighbour who came to ask us to do a job, and she was spruiking it as it would be a really good opportunity for us to be, we'd have a panel on this thing that had our name on it, and it was going to be in a shopping centre, and it was this and it was that. And I did say to her, it's of no value to us whatsoever to do this job for you, and you're paying the other people to do their bit, so why wouldn't you pay us? Now, she has never spoken to me again.
It didn't end well.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that. I didn't need her friendship, but look, you have to be really careful. But you have to be upfront. why should we do this for you? We have no investment in it. It's got nothing to do with us. We've got nothing to gain from it. We can't do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're willing to cut a little bit.
I had a client referred to me, and he was a pub, and he said, it was last week, and he said, I don't want to spend much money. I just want to spend an hour or two. I just want a DL, double-sided flyer. I just want my menu on it, and I'm like, oh, okay, so you only want me to spend an hour or two. Okay, and I thought about it, and normally I wouldn't have taken on the job because I thought, oh, he was really annoying. He just said, how much? And I thought, well, I'm not that busy today. I might just do it. And so I did it, and I ended up doing a really nice job, and putting it on I thought, well, I'll make it work for me, and putting it on my Instagram feed and on my Facebook feed. And so it just adds to a collection for me. I did get paid for it. It wasn't as much as I normally charge, and then as a token gesture at the end, whether it changes anything for him, I sent him the Facebook graphic, and I said, just as goodwill, because you've just done one job with me, I'm sending you this, and you can perhaps use it on your Facebook page. And he was over the moon. He was so happy, and said some really nice things, and I thought, well, you don't know where that person is going to go next, or if he wants more work done in the future, or so sometimes I think you do things for less.
That's a classic example of floating someone else's boat.
Yeah.
Classic. Like the pizzas tonight, we got an extra pizza. Just because first,
We
did you know
actually?
that? We got an extra pizza.
Oh, sweet.
We didn't ask for it, you know?
Oh, that's so
and
nice
so
of them.
floating other, so
I'll
I'm going
definitely
to
be
promote
going
common pizzas anytime, any opportunity I get. That's a classic
Well,
example.
the printer, my printer that I use,
Yep.
referred him to me,
Yep.
so I kind of felt, oh, I better do the right thing.
Yep.
The printer
See?
referred him.
Floating the boat,
And then
another
the
example.
next day, he actually referred another client.
Bingo, see
I
that?
looked out
Floating
for
each
that
other's
one.
boats. That's
Yeah.
an example.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's been great insight.
One thing I do sometimes, is that I will, if I'm doing a free job, what I might do is actually do an invoice and then put an in-kind on it to make the sum zero. But at least then the
Brilliant.
client can see
Brilliant.
the
Yes.
value
Yes.
of the design.
Yep.
And they're getting it for free, but then they know that that actually costs time and money.
Very smart. Very, very smart.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I did it reminds me of a job I did for a relative. I designed a pub in the UK. Who doesn't want to design a pub brand? But then he told me it was called the Half Moon and Spread Eagle, so it had two names, which was a bit of a bonus. But I actually did that for him, and I went to over the top and did a big job on it. But he didn't actually.
Sorry, hang on, we're in Australia here. Well, yeah, what's the thing?
That's down in Winchester, in the UK. Anyway, he didn't go ahead with it, but
Operated the two.
yeah, who knew? So he didn't go ahead with it, but I made such a nice job. Obviously, I put it on the website, and I got an email probably 3 months ago from this guy who actually owns the Half Moon Spread Eagle, and said, "Who do you do this for?" I said, "Why? Do you want to change your brand? Maybe we can talk. How we can do a deal on this one." So you never know how things are going to turn around. Any other questions? How about some questions about how you're going to get from there to there?
Question just mine was kind of about, like figuring out how our designs have worked for the customer or for our client.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do we know it paid off for them? I guess.
Yeah, interesting. That's a really interesting question.
So
It's
then we can use that back.
yeah,
on ourselves.
which kind of talks to Paul's comment about how do you perceive the value.
Yep, return on investment.
Yeah, really interesting one. Things like back in the good old days, I don't know if you've heard of Ken Cato. Have you heard of Ken Cato? He was a significant designer back in the 80s and 90s. I think the business is still going, but he's done huge identity projects in Australia, Commonwealth Bank, stuff like that over the years. So, a bit of a legendary entrepreneurial designer. He came out and did us a presentation way back, before you would have all been born, about this very point. And he said in a fantastic presentation, he said, look, there will be, he was Melbourne based, and it was a big organisation. It was like, you know, the good old days where, Wolf Hollins and all those guys had 500 employees and this sort of stuff. So it was really a huge business. And he kind of single-handedly put graphic design on the map in Australia as a serious profession, with a few others. And he said at this presentation, I'll never forget it, because I would have been about your age when I heard this presentation, he said, there are many designers in Australia who are more talented than I am, which I thought was probably a little bit disingenuous, but anyway. But he said, none of them can talk to the clients like I can. None of them can give them measurable results like I can. And he demonstrated it, and it was quite easy for him because he'd show a package design. This is a perfect example where, you know, here's the crap old package for the chocolates, here's the one we did, here's the graph of the sales since that change went through. Now he's kind of dodging around the ad campaign that was behind it and, you know, all the other stuff that would have built into that whole strategy. But, you know, it's pretty compelling as a young designer to see this stuff. Oh, okay, hang on, that is really measurable in that sense. Kind of harder with, you know, branding in general. It's a more difficult thing to get a hold of, but that I thought was a really interesting kind of demonstration of a real value. Now, whether the designs were great or not was kind of not the point. You know, it was really about what this had actually done for the company's output, turnaround, investment, profit, all that stuff. So on more, I don't know, other stuff, it's harder. It's a hard thing to quantify. I mean, I guess you could, you know, go back into that organisation and just have the conversation to say, look, you know, really enjoyed working with you on this project. You know, have there been demonstrable outcomes from your point of view?
It'd be a bit easier to measure now with SEO, I imagine, versus what it used to be like.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not convinced about that because, you know, hits on a website, it's not, you know, it doesn't necessarily equate to anything.
Yep.
I hear what you're saying. There are ways, but I just think that the conversation with the client's the best one to have. You know, I did a job recently for a client who I'd actually, I don't even know if you remembered, but I'd spoken to him 5 years before and never heard from him again. You know, I'm thinking, I clearly didn't do the Patrick, you know, just got nothing out of these people. And I kind of pride myself on being able to kind of, you know, get to the heart of the matter and sort of relate to people. But yeah, nothing. And then 5 years later, I'm kind of in there again through another person, same organisation, same leadership and everything else, and suddenly I'm flavour of the month and it's all great and it's all going really well. Even better, they'd actually had someone else have a crack at their brand and it was not good and they weren't happy and I came in and saved the day. So if only they'd come to me the first time. It does get a bit boring, that. But what's interesting is that they really have valued what I've done. May not be award-winning design, but it was spot on for what they wanted. You know, which is the other thing. It's not all about awards. It's actually about actually giving the client what they need.
Did you actually produce it, or did you? Were you like a creative director of it, or
I produced the work.
Right.
Yeah.
The whole lot.
Yeah. So kind of interesting, and they've since moved to bigger premises and all that sort of stuff. So, but the rapport I've got with this guy, I could ask him that question, and he would be able to tell me. You know, apart from the odd annoying thing, well, you know, the logo had 5 colours and the carton's going to be printed in 5 colours. You know, that sort of stuff. But you know, that I think is really the only way. Yeah, just have the conversation. If you've got the rapport with the client that you should have.
So what happened with that 5-year gap that you talked about? Did you flush out what the problems were between those?
No, look, who knows? You know, sometimes there's stuff that you're never going to know. There's some background, there's some backdrop that's not clear. The opportunity initially the introduction was through the same person, but I think that person then became like a controlling director of this organisation, so the tune changed. Yeah, but that's just I don't know if that really helps, but that's my experience of this stuff. Because some things aren't going to be quantifiable analytically, but where they are, yeah, it's great. If it goes backwards, not so great. Not your fault. Sorry, other factors. GFC.
Exactly.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Move on. Yeah. Somebody down the front.
I know it's great to initially have an offer that really convince your client to think you're the one to go with, but how do you keep them from wandering away from their confidence in you? How do you make them still captivated even when they feel like maybe the product isn't being done quick enough, it's not quite at the point where they want it to be at this time? Like, how do you keep them on the hook?
Yeah, okay. And it does happen, you know, I mean, it really does, because you know, with the best will in the world, you can't keep everyone happy all the time, and if it's busy, you know, there's other stuff going on. How do you play that? Look, I think each situation is different, but I think generally, if you can keep some communication happening, way easier now than it used to be. You know, at least you can now get away with an email rather than having to talk to them all the time or go to their office or whatever. So yeah, I mean, just in fact, I've got a good one at the moment where the client's really nice guy, quite hard to get hold of. He's often in the country, out of range, and all this sort of stuff. So I've made a real effort to make sure that there's a trail of conversation that can be followed and referred to, so that if there is a miscommunication, I can at least point to my attempt to talk to him. You know, so there's plenty of ways to kind of build that into the process, I think. Way easier now than it ever has been before.
Yeah, roadmap, timescale. Yeah, so you make that clear to the client. So if you're doing a project that's got stages to it, put some timelines to it so that the client knows what dates approximately. Yeah, I know it's not always easy to adhere to that because of clients normally, their behaviour often dictates how quick things are done. Obviously in the real world that's what happens. But yeah, start off with some timelines, and it demonstrates to the customer that you're organised, that you know you can anticipate how long things are going to take, and it's another little tick in the box for your professionalism in the way that you communicate. But communication is the absolute key, and methods of it. Regular communication, regular dialogue. The more you talk to them, the more you're going to sell them. Yeah, let alone the project itself. The more you're in dialogue, the more opportunity you've got to sell to them.
Just to follow up on that, in my business, an annual review, which is something that I used to do as a financial planner, there'd be situations where I'm thinking, sort of grown, why am I going out to see this person? You know, it's 12 months, I did so much work, we made such a difference. But you discipline, and it's not about what I'm feeling. I've made a commitment to come out and see them, and they sit down, oh, see Patrick, I'm so pleased you're here. Aunt Maud, she passed away in England. The estate's just been settled. And we've got another $2.3 million. Can you do what you did last year? Seriously, think about a reason to go back and see a client 12, or even write it in the contract. They say, okay, we do a review 12 months out. They say, what? Yeah, I want to come back 12 months afterwards and look at my logo and talk to you about how the business is going. Nothing wrong with that. Another value add.
Shows that you care, shows that you're interested.
Exactly. I'm passionate about the success and the you know, is my shoe leather going to wear out?
Don't get weird about it though. Don't start stalking.
I mean, I find when people do that to me, I feel harassed.
Oh, that's fine. Well, in my game, I have to do it. If I don't do it, they are upset that I don't maintain a relationship. Yeah.
I've got something now to put to you guys. So how many of you guys in the room are startups and early stage businesses?
One.
Ish.
As a
We've
freelancer.
got a half and half here.
Freelancers.
So we've got 1, 2, go at the back. 3, is that right? Is that all?
So is everyone else on
4,
sale?
5. So this is like a confessional. This is all. I'm not sure about the startup.
We'll turn the lights off.
Yeah, it'll start glowing. Okay, under 2 years. Good Lord. Fantastic. Right, okay. I'm surprised. All right, good. Interesting. All right.
Some hard and seasoned professionals here.
I wasn't going to offer that comment.
Say old.
Do you guys, in your first 2 years, do you feel you've got places to go to get really good support in terms of your advisory stuff for your business?
No.
Okay. Anybody else? No?
Yeah, not really.
Not really? Okay. All right. So there's a number of initiatives that are available to support people. I'm sure this organisation included. But I'm allowed to do a little bit of a plug if I may. So I'm involved, as a bit of a side issue, I'm involved in a project for one of the big accountancy firms in Perth called Moore Stevens. Moore Stevens are a mid-tier accountancy practice. I've helped them to develop and launch a new division of the company, which is geared towards helping early stage and startup businesses with the absolute basics of trying to build really good commercial businesses with soft touch general advisory stuff. And I know from as a sort of semi-outsider or newish to Perth that there's a real lack of strong infrastructure to help businesses, which particularly creative businesses as well, often overlooked. And it's still very important for sustainability for this sector to help businesses to strengthen themselves, go from strength to strength, offer good advisory stuff and do a business plan and a financial plan, all those things that you try and avoid thinking, oh, I'm not sure about that, that's a bit boring. Very, very important. So if any of you feel that you want some improved support in terms of growing your business, or if you're in the early stages of your business to get some support, come and see me afterwards and I've got some information. But as a general point, I think the infrastructure of support for business here is a little bit wanting, if I'm being honest. And I think, if you can find, as a general point, we just mentioned mentoring and advisory stuff earlier on, if you can find a good business mentor, it's worth its weight in gold for the development of your business. It doesn't matter whether you're a one-person business or you employ 5 or 6 people or et cetera, et cetera. So just come and have a chat with me afterwards and I've got some information I can very, very gladly hand out. And thank you, Hayley, for letting me to mention that.
All good.
Yeah, so we should all really see ourselves as startups and continue doing things. When I first started out, and started working for myself, that's when things really started to move on to that next level, and I started to get more confidence, because I wasn't very confident. I was just somebody who went to art college and needed to do it. I needed to get out there, and I went to see an accountant and said, "How am I going to do it? What am I going to do?" He said, "Just go and get some work." oh yeah, okay. So I spent a lot of time training myself, going to meetings, trying to get meetings, going to see people, and testing myself out, going and see people, practicing talking to people, practicing, having a go. I expect everybody to be phoning Paul, Steve, can I come and see you? I want to come see you and have a coffee and do it. Come and see us and have a meeting, and we'll sit there like that. And make you stress out and think about it and think about what you're saying and think about what you're showing us, and you can go away and go, oh yeah, that was really good, or that was really not that very good. I need to do it again because this is the career I'm doing and this is how I want to have a sustainable career that lasts, my lifetime. I don't want to bail from an arts career. I want it to have some longevity, so you've got to push it out, because you're not going to be unemployed, you're not going to be 55 working at Turner's. You're going to be, you're going to have your own business and competing with those guys and doing those meetings and standing up and saying it. And so it's that overall, you've got to have the creative and you've got to have the business acumen to make it work. You've got to be able to stand up.
Just on that, I often have situations where lots of group people or members are being made redundant. And obviously they ring me and talk about what are they going to do with their superannuation, etc., etc. Or members who are out of work for an extended period of time, and they ring up and say, I'm looking for, or this is happening, yada yada yada. And occasionally I'll get CVs, and I got one recently which shocked me when I opened it and read it, because the person was in their 50s, and the CV looked like something that was circa 1970, and yet this person's career was stellar. Absolutely amazing career in terms of their experience and abilities. But they just hadn't done the homework of getting their CV checked. Is this a current CV? It was completely wrong, it was in the wrong order, and it didn't highlight their strong suits. So my tip there is, do what Paul said. Test yourself or go and see someone and is this good? Or get them to critique and get the feedback, because it's better that someone really gives you a kick in the guts that's friendly, so instead of losing deal after deal after deal after deal because people don't want to tell you the truth. And then you think, hang on, it was a simple this or that I had to change, and bingo, the work's starting to flow. By the way, in terms of plates, if you want an extra $160,000 when you get to the stage of grey hair that is up here, I'm very happy to give you the tip. That's free advice. Not allowed to give advice in terms of general. I can only give general advice. But there's a free $160,000. Well, about 60,000 of the 100,000 is free. It's called a co-contribution, where the federal government will give you some money for putting some money into super. So if you want some tips on that, give us a bell after tonight.
Patrick, just moving on from that, given the erratic nature of our profession, particularly at the moment with freelancing, periods working at places and going freelancing, doing stuff for free for a bit, and then how does that impact on superannuation?
It's called pay yourself, pay it forward, okay? Because the closer you get to retirement, the mountain of money that you've got to climb, it just gets steeper and steeper. If you start early, you're doing yourself the right thing. And yes, we've got 9%, 9.5, and it's going to go up to 12%. But if your income is below $38,000, look at the co-contribution strategy, where you put in $1,000 of your hard-earned cash, and the government will match that with $500. That's $1,500 a year. And if you do that from the age of 25, it will make a difference of $160,000 by the time you hit retirement. And it's sound attractive, boys? An extra 160? Yeah, if only we had done it way back when. Okay? You don't want to be saying, if only we had done it way back when. So you're looking after yourself first. It's no different to getting your invoice right, charging properly, getting your rates up, all that sort of stuff. Throwing some dollars forward is the best investment you can make in a good, healthy, and you're not having to panic and work until you're 80.
What about income protection? What can you tell us about that? Is that relevant to us guys?
Well, incredibly relevant, especially with the hiring and firing and freelancing that people do. If you get sick for an extended period of time, our income protection will cover 75% of your income for a 5-year period. So it's not expensive because we don't have any commissions bolted onto our products and services. We're an industry superannuation fund. So any profit we make, we're a profit for purpose. It goes back to the members. And so that's what Media Super does. We're an industry super fund. So we're not seeking to make profits to pay shareholders. We want our members to be looked after. 85,000 members, $5 billion in funds under management. And we pay out over 90% of our insurance claims. The industry average is 75%. So we look after our members.
Any super questions?
How do you differ from AMP?
AMP is a good organisation. I started with AMP back in 1982. My father started with them in 1957. Over the years, they're a good organisation, they're a good business that has to make a profit and make a margin, and so they're always looking to create the next product that's going to make the difference. What's happened is that product manufacturing mentality has left them with thousands of products. Media Super has one product. We have a superannuation product that looks after people while they accumulate the dollars and then goes into the pension phase and pays them a pension in retirement. So we don't waste our time trying to recreate or reinvent the wheel. We just make a product that works and that delivers. Whereas AMP is constantly driven by all the different fiefdoms, and also they've got to pay a profit. So if you look at the best way to look and measure any super fund, if you've got a super fund, is you go onto your website of your fund, and every fund has to have $50,000. What does it cost to run $50,000 worth of assets under management? And Media Super is $427. You will find that is very much below a lot of our competitors, including AMP.
Is that this one?
Yeah, so that's how we differ.
Cool. So, so moving on to the future. And that lawn mowing round. How we discussed that over the how are we seeing the freelance scene these days? Is it sort of dying out, or is all the work going to the big agencies or the boutique design studios getting left behind and can't mix it anymore?
Excellent question. Yeah, look, it's the landscape's changed. I guess when I was sort of in the middle of my career, if this is the latter part of it, the boutique design studio was going gangbusters. It was fantastic. And Perth was a very exciting environment to be a designer in that world. It does seem to have... what happened is, at some point, probably in the mid-90s, the big ad agencies thought, this design lark is, that's an earner. All these guys are doing, you know, really good stuff. We could be doing that. So, and many of you may work in advertising agencies, so good on you. But that is one reality, that the big organisations have created their own design studios within the agency, and that works really well. And it's a package that can be part of a whole strategy for a client, which is great. There's also much more of an inclination now to have in-house designers in local government, small business, you know, other institutions, which would conventionally have been my clientele, you know, project sort of stuff for different clients. So it has changed, but from your age group's point of view, it really doesn't matter that it's changed. You just need to be able to handle your current environment. And I think, I mean, in my own career, I started working for an employer. Great, no risk. You know, money comes in, you have holidays, you have sick leave and all that sort of stuff. Super, yep. Had they invented it back then, Patrick? Probably, yeah. Okay.
We can help you with your lawsuit.
Yeah, so where was I going with? It has changed, but it's still the same. I guess the difference is that what I haven't seen is that the pie of work get bigger in relation to the amount of designers who are out there. So, you know, we all kind of keep nibbling away at this, you know, not hugely expanded pie, and that can be problematic. So whether that means you need to leave Perth and go and do something somewhere else, that's maybe an option. A lot of the guys I studied with immediately left Perth and went to Melbourne, Sydney and beyond, London, etc., which is not a bad thing because it's a different environment that you're working in. I inexplicably stayed here. Oh, actually, no, in fairness, I got a job very early, straight out of uni, so why wouldn't I pursue that? So, and it was a good studio and we were doing, you know, nice projects. Did you have something you wanted to add here?
The printer that I deal with, he says,
The people behind you can't hear, so.
Yeah, he's out in all the agencies all of the time, and he said he's seen them halve.
Yeah.
And a lot of the smaller ones, like myself, are actually getting the work because they can't afford the big agencies anymore. And so I think us smaller people are actually doing a lot better than the bigger agencies now. They're like the guy that does my printing, he'll go out and he said there's empty desks everywhere.
Yep. Can I add a little angle to this line of conversation? What I'm seeing, this is a fairly typical conversation with a small printer out, you know, Armadale Way somewhere. And I said, you know, how's business? How are margins? And you get the comment, this, that, da da da. And staffing, you know, what's happening with your staffing? We, you know, 18 months ago we had to get rid of 2 staff and we went back to 3, but we've just put 2 on. Oh, that's good. What skills did you hire? Oh, we got a receptionist or something, and a graphic artist. Okay, there's got 5 people now, and they've hired a graphic artist. Have they ever had a graphic artist before? No. Okay, what's the merit? Why did they hire a graphic artist? Well, what that means is the other 2 shops that we work with, because they're all in cahoots with each other and, you know, joint ownership, they're going to send all their graphics works to us. So we're going to be the graphics hub for 3 shops. Boom, boom. Is that graphic artist happy? Happy as very happy. Over the moon, flat out. So I'm seeing that happen more and more. Printers getting graphic artists in-house.
And they're also, it's not winning the quotes anymore, it's the people that he's getting jobs out of loyalty. Yep. He'll hand deliver the printing to me.
Yep.
He'll talk to me on the phone. He's like a mate. Yep. And I give him the work without even getting a second work because we have a really strong relationship. And he said, you know, he won't even bother quoting on some stuff because he knows he's not going to get it because they're like one of the best in town. But, you know, people are doing it for below what it's worth because they just want the job and try and get the client. So it's definitely, that side of it has changed a lot too. You know, it's very competitive in the printing industry.
We touched on it again there, you know, networks, relationships.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about that. You know, you've really got to work on those. It's again those overall skills and those. You know, I spend a lot of time, you know, in the daytime managing clients, and then, you know, late afternoon, evening, you get started on your creativity. You know, you're managing the business more than you are actually focused on the creative side. So, you know, it's really important, particularly when you start freelance and you start working for yourself, to nurture, to ensure that you're just not a one-hit wonder with every client you get. Otherwise, you're going to have thousands of clients every time you do one job. You know.
Yep. That's one thing I've found. I've had clients for over 20 years, and they just start as a marketing assistant, but then they go to another company and they become the marketing manager, and then they change jobs and they go and become a marketing person somewhere else, and they take you with you.
That's right.
So I found that to be really good. If you can manage to get into a business where there is marketing managers and develop relationships with them, you'll have their whole careers along with them.
Yeah.
So that's quite, I found really good.
The value of networking.
Yeah, networking, yeah.
We're back to that just now again.
Floating each other's boats.
Yeah, correct. And as I mentioned near the beginning of the session, partnering with people, really important. Think about diversification. Even though you're very aware of your own skill set and what you bring to the table, have a think of the next few days about diversification. What type of so if you want to set a challenge, think about what we talked about networking and the value of going out and meeting people, not just clients, but have a crack at seeing other associated people who deliver complementary services to what you do. Go out and seek a whole load of them. Just talk to them. You might not get on with some of them, but you might get on famously with other people, and collectively, yeah, you may double your collective client base by doing that. Does that make sense? So if you then multiply that by 5 people in your network, think about the potential impact that might have on the customers that you can get in front of. So if you're a graphic designer, go and find a photographer. Go and find someone who's really good at strategic marketing. These are absolutely essentials, in my opinion. If you're going to grow your business, this is the way to do it in a compressed economy. Go out and find partners, and then tap into their networks, share those customers around. That's the modern way to do it. And doing it even with a mid-tier practice like Moore Stephens, they've got 80 employees, right? They're a mid-tier accountancy practice. They're a big organisation, and we've been working with the leadership team in that company to look at partnering with all manner of different people, banks, funders, other experts in other areas, to diversify their offering as an accountant. So if a company like that can pick it up, and you guys are a lot more agile and a lot, with the respect, a lot younger, a lot more energy, you ought to be able to do that yourselves. And that's, I think that's something you, as a takeaway from tonight, I would ask you all to consider. It's having a think about that and think about who you can meet in complementary areas to grow your customer base.
As a classic example of that today, and this is an embarrassing admission, I went to see one of my largest clients, which is Grand Cinemas, and I don't mind mentioning them because they're the prize tonight. And I was talking to the payroll lady, because I always talk to the payroll lady, don't I? And we talk about super and the young people and this and that and this and that, and we, okay, good, fine. And then I broke mould and said, listen, I need to buy some tickets for tonight. And she said, oh, you need to speak to the marketing manager. An opportunity to sit down and chat to someone. So yes, we talked about the tickets that we needed for tonight. What else? How's the independence? Listened, asked questions and listened. I found out that there is an Independent Cinemas Association, ICA it's called. There's 80 members. They're responsible for over 140 screens in Australia. And as I drove away, and he gave me his card and talked about the CEO who's based in Sydney, And so I ring up my compatriot in Sydney and I said, did you know that there's an independent cinema associate? No. So we've now got an introduction to an organisation who's hiring hundreds of young people who all need superannuation. Classic example of what Paul's saying. Think outside the box, and the people you know people that need to know you. Now on that, speaking about surprises, can I now?
Just about to say.
Speaking about surprises. Just wait. Oh, sorry. No, they look at them. Look how keen they are to find out what the surprise is.
Come on, deal with the surprises. Come
Can
on,
I give you
Patrick.
the surprise? Okay, check under your
Come on.
seat.
Oh my god, it's a car.
Check under your seats. You better do more than put your hand under it. You better get down and have a look. No, you got to get up and look. Check under your seats. No, under the seat, as in here, like. And any empty seat, well done. Someone's got a prize. So hold it up. 1. We need to identify them all. 2, 3. Okay, there's 4. Who's found the 5th one? There should be 5. Hey, there it is. You won. Well done. There it was. Now we've got more to give away. We've got 4 more. Here we go. 4 more. Now the best question of the night. What do you reckon, guys? Which was the best question?
One more question.
Well, do you want to get the first question?
Who was the first question?
First question was
This gentleman here.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt. You
Well
had a
done.
chance. That's all right.
And you go for it.
Question?
Yeah.
I was going to give him just to get the prize, but no, I will go with the question, Stephen. I struggle a little bit with creating campaigns, brands, all these assets, all these executions, you know, up to 50 executions or whatever, but and then giving those assets away, or being asked for those assets, or being asked for. It's always a bit sensitive with me with giving anything away, and I always try and make it as hard as possible for them with their ignorance in design and knowing file types and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is there any tips or tricks that you can give me over your career span that
Brendan actually can answer this. If you turn around.
Yes,
Yeah.
September,
Because
Steve,
what the
with our
predicament
friends
is
at
that-
Rays, we'll have a discussion exactly about that. So the raw file debate is alive and
Surely if they
kicking,
pay for it.
and Rays will offer a free event for you guys. They'll also do some wine and nibbles too. And Rays are in West Perth. They're fantastic IP lawyers, and they're offering some free PD for Agda members. It's a yearly deal.
Absolutely.
And we're talking
recommend that.
exactly about that
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
And raw files.
That's a completely.
Pandora's box.
That's
September.
Right, so it's, yeah, because I treat it case by case. Is that
Yeah, no, look, there's a bunch of ways, what Brendan's talking about, absolutely go to, okay?
I didn't hear that side.
It's Rays as the organisation.
Rays, it's September, you'll hear about it, and it's dealing with raw files. So we're having a real good look at it, and that'll feed back into some free terms and conditions for
So
you.
what I can say anecdotally is, yeah, I don't, like you, I try to avoid getting involved in that, because anything that's editable, you just think, oh God, something's, you know, they will definitely do something wrong. But I think that there's also another aspect to this, which is that I've not done it, but you can, if you want to get heavy with the client, you can say, I will let you have access to these files for $20,000.
And
we do
that.
Yeah, so, and that's,
unfortunately, I don't want to, but
no, I know, and it's, in this environment, it's quite,
yeah.
you know, tricky. But some clients will be more than happy to do that, and then you can have license agreements and all that sort of stuff, and it just gets in. The lawyers just love this stuff.
The trouble with that is that we do charge that on occasion, but then it puts their noses out of joint.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can,
Yeah, I know. The relationship then might be damaged. I know.
And
It's a balancing act.
And the
Yeah.
clients we deal with, they have got the ability to take those files and then go and produce another 50 assets or 50 pieces of
Yeah.
art.
Yeah.
I
No,
give
look,
my
it's
clients a Dropbox folder, which is their library.
Of,
They're welcome to it. They
of,
paid for it. They
of all
can,
InDesign
they
files.
can have whatever they like, but they always come back.
Yeah.
They just like to have it there. For,
Right.
They might not
So
know how to use
InDesign
it,
files as
but-
well.
oh, they often will use the images that are in there, things like
InDesign
that.
files, all the kind of raw naked InDesign files and
Yeah,
Yeah,
most of the
that's
time, half of them don't want those.
Right, okay.
They want the PDFs, they want the images that were used,
I'm
any
happy with all
graphics
those
and all
things.
that.
It's the
But if
kind
they
of-
want that, they're welcome
Yeah.
to it, because I figure they've paid for it.
This will be a good conversation in September.
Yeah, that's for
We've just done our
another
market
show.
research.
We throw more prizes.
Prizes, there's
One
prize.
best
If
question.
anyone leaves without a prize tonight, something's wrong.
Best question, boys.
It was a great comment someone made. It wasn't a question, it was a comment. It was somewhere over there. Was it you? Did you say something?
Me, I'm sure.
No, someone said something. It was really good.
Your comment, everybody just
Oh, the invoicing, the in-kind.
Give that man a ticket.
Give that man a prize.
There you go.
I think contributions from the audience. Sorry, what was your name?
Oh, Lyndall.
Lyndall's contribution has
I
been
apologise,
appreciated.
I can't keep my mouth shut.
No, you're
I'm
rewarded
going to
this.
apologise to my friend.
Watch out for Lyndall at the next one of these, okay?
Two tickets, and the last one was going to go to. I'm going to give it to the person that has contributed tonight with raw muscle, Cameron, down the back. Well done. Thank you.
Here. Lovely work, Cameron.
Well done, and just roll your sleeves up.
Cameron was early, moved all the chairs
Put
around.
everything out.
Genius. Young designer on the up and up.
That's right. And
Starting at
enjoy those
ground
double
level.
tickets at Grand Cinemas, folks.
All right, so any final questions before we...
Not now that you've
We
given out all the
don't.
time.
Sorry, we didn't have right.
let's thank the guys for coming, Paul, Steve, Patrick. And thank everybody for coming too.
And thanks, Hayley,
It's great.
and
Thanks, Dave.
Albie.
Great job, Agda.
Thanks
Come
so
on.
much for coming,
Big fly on the
guys.
flag.
I was just going to say, we can stay here for a couple more minutes, so feel free to have some drinks, talk to our lovely panellists for a bit, and thanks again, and look forward to that September event about the raw files. This is exciting to know. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.